When speed matters, only a few cars rule the track. These 12 NASCAR machines push the limits like nothing else. Number 12. Plymouth Belvedere, 1964. A black Plymouth Belvedere from the mid-1960s, standing proud with its body shining so bright you could almost see your reflection in it. This machine was not a regular car you would drive to the store. This one was made to fly down the drag strip faster than your brain can even catch up, blasting through the quarter mile in just 4.6 seconds at more than 330 miles per hour. Now here's the twist. The body looks normal at first, but it is actually super light. The fenders, the hood, even the brackets holding the bumper were made from aluminum, which made them feather-like compared to steel. Push against the front bumper and you might think it is made of tin foil. That is how light it really is. Every little piece of chrome and trim sparkles like it just rolled off the line, and the tires sit wrapped around old-school painted rims with simple shiny hubcaps. It looks sharp, but the real magic is in what this car can do when it launches forward. Let's not ignore the inside, because even there, the theme of speed keeps going. The cabin is covered in a blazing red that makes it feel alive, yet the designers tossed out the radio, heater, and even the cigarette lighter. Why? Because all those extras only slowed you down. And this car's mission was simple: win the race. The seats hug you tight with a mix of vinyl and cloth, and the shiny piping makes them pop like a custom suit. Up front sits the push-button transmission, a quirky touch that feels more like launching a rocket than shifting gears. And here comes the part that makes every car fan lean in closer: the engine. Under that hood rests a max wedge heart, stretched into a 505 cubic inch monster. On the dyno, it shouted out 623 horsepower and 652 pounds of torque. To put that into simple words, that is like having a herd of wild horses all kicking at once the moment you stomp the gas. The cross-ram intake with two huge 4-barrel carburetors looks like it belongs on a spaceship, and every bracket, sticker, and cover is lined up perfectly, like it just rolled from the factory. But wait, there is more to its trick. The battery, instead of sitting under the hood, was sent to the trunk. That clever move gave more room up front and also pushed weight toward the rear tires, helping the car grab the track better. Even the spare tire sits back there ready to go, because racers knew every little detail could make the difference. Drop down and look under the car, and you will see a clean, glossy black floor that looks too nice to ever touch dirt. The suspension was set up with extra leaf springs on one side. The exhaust has proper factory dumps, and the Torque-A-Flight automatic gearbox hooks to a rebuilt drive shaft that spins a rear axle packed with 4.56 gears. That setup meant launches so strong you could feel it deep in your chest. This Belvedere is the kind of car that shows why racers back then were clever. It is stripped, it is raw, and it is insanely quick. Number 11. Ford Galaxie 500, 1965. And just when you thought the speed story could not get any wilder, along comes the 1965 Ford Galaxie 500, a machine that turned heads the moment it rolled out. With its tall stance, bold grille, and stacked headlights, this was a full-size car that looked ready to eat up miles before it even fired up. It was not just a car to drive. It was the kind of car that made highways feel like racetracks. Let us talk about the power first, because that is what everyone really wants to know. Under its wide hood, you could find engines that stretched from a 6-cylinder to a massive 427 cubic inch V8. That big motor was the one racers chased, because it pushed this heavyweight sedan to sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 7 seconds, with a top end that could touch 130 miles per hour. Quarter-mile runs landed in the 15 to 17 second range, which was no joke for something this large. Now, moving from pure speed to the way it handled, Ford made some clever moves in 1965. They replaced the old leaf springs with a 3-link rear setup and coil springs, making the car smoother and more balanced on curves. Drivers back then noticed how much more confident it felt when cutting through corners, and the steering gave just the right kind of feedback, so you always knew what the tires were doing. Imagine a car that big still letting you feel like you were fully in control. It was a major step forward. Sliding into the cabin, the Galaxie made sure comfort did not take a back seat to performance. Vinyl seats, thick carpeting, and stylish door panels wrapped you in an atmosphere that mixed muscle with luxury. And get this, you could even get air conditioning in the mid-60s, which was a big deal when most cars barely gave you fresh air. The dashboard got a new design too, along with a clever 2-key system that let you hand over one for valet use without giving away access to the trunk or glove box. That was Ford showing off both brains and style. Swinging the focus back to its design, the Galaxie looked sharp from every angle. Those vertical dual headlights, stacked one on top of the other, gave it a serious and almost daring expression. Chrome trim lined the car just enough to catch the light without overdoing it. The side profile showed one clean, horizontal bodyline that made it look stretched and strong. Whether in Wimbledon white, Rangoon red, or one of the other bold factory colors, the car carried presence like few others could. And then there is the fun little trivia. This very model was often chosen as a favorite by certain government agents who liked both its speed and its size. That alone adds a cool factor that makes you smile, because you know the car was not only stylish, it was trusted when it mattered most. Number 10. Dodge Charger, 1966. Next up is a machine that looked like it was built just to argue with every Mustang in the parking lot, the 1966 Dodge Charger. This one was Dodge's way of saying, yeah, we can play this game too. And they showed up swinging hard. Sliding straight into its looks, this Charger wore a fastback roofline that swept all the way down to a huge rear glass window. That design wasn't just for drama. It made the car look like it was moving even when standing still. The front grille was something else too, stretching wide across the face with headlights that rolled into view when you needed them. Dodge designers liked their shapes clean and boxy, so they gave it bold lines that wrapped the body in shiny trim that drew attention everywhere it went. Even the back was memorable with a one-piece taillight bar, spelling out the name Charger, like it wanted everyone behind to know exactly who just passed them. Before we talk about what it could do, let's peek at how Dodge set up the inside. This wasn't your everyday family car. It came with 4 separate bucket seats, all divided by a center console that ran from front to back. That design was rare and gave the car a sporty cockpit feel. The dashboard lit up differently too, glowing with electroluminescent gauges that looked futuristic for its time. It made drivers feel like they were piloting a machine meant for action, not just cruising to the grocery store. But now comes the part you have been waiting for. What was hiding under that long hood? The Charger came with only V8 engines, no smaller choices allowed. Buyers could pick from several, but the one everyone whispered about was the 427 cubic inch Hemi Phi 8 with 2 big carburetors. That setup delivered a punch of over 400 horsepower, which was wild back in the mid-60s. Even the smaller 384 cubic inch version packed enough strength to launch the car past 121 miles per hour, which was serious speed for a machine this size. Here's where things get even more interesting, because Dodge did not just keep the Charger on the streets. They tossed it straight into NASCAR racing, and that move paid off big time. The car stormed its way across the tracks and grabbed wins, proving that this wasn't just a stylish cruiser, it was a competitor, built to go fast and go hard. That connection to the racetrack made people see the Charger as more than a pretty fastback coupe. It became a symbol that Dodge was serious about speed. And the story doesn't stop with numbers on a spec sheet. Imagine a car that could stretch nearly 17 feet long, yet still handle like a contender. With sway bars, heavy-duty springs, and optional disc brakes, the Charger had the balance to control its power. Number 9. 1968 Mercury Cyclone. And just when the Charger had you thinking Dodge ruled the track, Mercury rolled up with a wild card of their own, the 1968 Mercury Cyclone. This car had the kind of presence that made people stop mid-sip of their soda and go, wait, what is that? It was long, it was sharp, and it had enough muscle under the hood to scare anything that lined up next to it. Kicking things off with style, the Cyclone carried a bold fastback roof that dropped smoothly into its rear, giving it that race-ready look. Up front, the concave grille and twin headlights gave the car a face that seemed to dare you to challenge it. Add in body stripes and colors with names like Grecian Gold or Cardinal Red, and the Cyclone looked as fast parked in the driveway as it did blazing past you on the highway. Now, before we dig into how quick it could fly, let's take a moment to peek at its cabin. This wasn't a stripped-down racer, it was a place that actually made you feel special while driving. It came with bucket seats wrapped in vinyl and a cockpit full of round gauges that glowed with purpose. Some versions even had an optional tachometer, which back then felt like futuristic racing tech. For a car all about performance, Mercury still made sure it had enough comfort to keep you smiling on long drives. The engines, though, that's where this Cyclone truly lived up to its name. The standard setup was a 300 cubic inch V8, solid enough for most folks. But for speed lovers, there were upgrades that pushed things into serious territory. The 390 cubic inch V8 churned out 325 horsepower, which was nothing to laugh at. And if you wanted the big punch, Mercury offered the 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8, packing 335 horsepower and a mountain of torque. That setup could launch the Cyclone to 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds and carry it down the quarter mile in around 16 seconds. For the late 60s, that was rocket ship quick. The magic of the Cyclone didn't stop at engines. Its suspension was tuned to give balance, with coil springs up front and leaf springs in the back, keeping the car planted even when you pushed it hard. It weighed about 3,400 pounds, lighter than many of its rivals, and that gave it an edge in acceleration and cornering. Top speed? Try up to 130 miles per hour, which was more than enough to prove its name on the drag strip or the oval track. And here's where the story gets even better. The Cyclone was not just a pretty fast street car. It hit the NASCAR scene and showed it belonged with the best. With that aerodynamic fastback design cutting the air, it became part of Mercury's racing arsenal. Add in details like sequential rear turn signals and the twin-scoop hood feeding air to the hungry V8, and you had a car that mixed flair with firepower in a way few rivals managed. Number 8. Plymouth Superbird, 1970. Here comes a car that looked more like a rocket with wheels than a regular racer. The 1970 Plymouth Superbird, built for speed, built for winning, and built to leave every rival staring at its massive wing. What made the Superbird so jaw-dropping was not only the sound of its massive motor, but also the way it sliced through the air. The nose cone stretched forward nearly 2 feet, while a towering rear wing stood taller than the roof itself, making it look like the car had borrowed pieces from a rocket. That tall wing was not for show either. It pushed the car down onto the track, keeping the tires planted at insane speeds. Now let's talk about what gave this bird its wings in the first place. Under the long hood sat engine choices that could make any racer's heart race faster than the tachometer. The wildest of them all was the 426 cubic inch Hemi Fiv 8, a monster that could blast the Superbird from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 5.5 seconds. On the drag strip, this same setup ate the quarter mile in 13.5 seconds at over 105 miles per hour. Imagine holding onto the wheel while this winged rocket tried to break free. Your knuckles would turn whiter than the racing stripes, but pure engine power was only part of the story. The real magic came when engineers decided to stop fighting the wind and start working with it. The nose cone cut through the air like a dart, the flush rear window smoothed the flow, and that tall wing delivered stability at 200 miles per hour. Back in the 1970s, that kind of speed was not just impressive, it was terrifying. And yet the Superbird did it with such confidence that rivals could only watch it disappear down the straightaway. The cabin was a mix of comfort and toughness. Bucket seats with a center console gave it a race-ready vibe, while details like rally gauges and a beep-beep horn reminded you that it was still part of the Roadrunner family. Even the vinyl top had a purpose, cleverly covering the seams from the aerodynamic tweaks around the rear window. This was a machine that blended race day focus with street car attitude in a way no one had seen before. And just like that, the Superbird became the car that flew too fast for its own good, forcing NASCAR to change the rules forever. Number 7. Chevrolet Chevelle Laguna S3 1975. The 1975 Chevrolet Chevelle Laguna Type S3 came at a time when muscle cars were fading away, yet this machine still found a way to stand out on the NASCAR track. It may not have had the wild power of the earlier legends, but it had something that made it dangerous to the competition. An aerodynamic nose that sliced the air like a knife. Let us take a closer look at how this car made its mark. While most cars of the mid-70s struggled with new rules and limits, the Laguna showed up with a special plastic nose design that looked unlike anything else in its class. That shovel-shaped front end was not for style points, it was built to win. NASCAR drivers quickly learned that with this nose, the car could glide smoother and stay faster, and the results showed when it grabbed championship wins, before officials had to step in and say, "Enough, this thing is too good." But aerodynamics alone was not its only talking point. Under the long hood, buyers could choose from engines ranging from a 350 cubic inch V8, making 145 horsepower, all the way up to a 454 cubic inch monster, putting out over 200 horses. For its time, that top engine option gave the Laguna a little spark of old muscle car spirit, enough to make it competitive in racing, even if the showroom version felt calmer. Performance numbers tell the story in plain truth. This car needed over 11 seconds to hit 60 miles per hour, and nearly 19 seconds to finish the quarter-mile run. On the street, that might sound tame, but here is where the twist comes in. On NASCAR tracks, with race-tuned versions, the Laguna was a nightmare for rivals. It balanced speed with control, and that balance helped carry it to glory before the rulebook slammed the door shut. Even with the racing talk, comfort was still a big part of what made this model unique. The cabin could be dressed with swiveling bucket seats that spun around like a playground ride, plus sporty touches like a 4-spoke steering wheel and extra gauges. It felt more polished than the wild cars that came before it, almost like Chevrolet wanted to soften the blow of less horsepower by giving drivers more style and luxury. And just when you think the story ends with racing success and a touch of comfort, here's the fun twist. This car was rare. Chevrolet built only a few thousand of them, and because they were so different from the regular Chevelles, people either loved them or ignored them. Number 6. Ford Thunderbird, 1977. The 1977 Ford Thunderbird zoomed onto the scene when muscle cars were getting smaller and calmer, yet it still had the heart of a racing car ready to make traffic sweat. Its body was smaller than the early 70s models, but it carried a name that made people sit up and notice. This wasn't about breaking speed records on the street, but its design and engines were tuned to shine on the track. This Thunderbird wore its style like armor. With a long hood, a wrap-over roof, and hidden headlights, it looked fast even when parked. The vinyl roof, quad tail lamps, and optional town landau tiara added an extra punch of sophistication. The exterior could be colored in 17 shades, with dozens of two-tone combos, so each T-Bird could have its own personality. Even the stripes and accent paints made it clear. This car was ready to stand out and turn heads. Let's peek under the hood. The base engine was a 302 cubic inch V8, but buyers could upgrade to a 351 or 400 cubic inch V8. Each engine had a 2-barrel carburetor, and though the numbers might not terrify modern sports cars, these engines gave the Thunderbird enough muscle to cruise highways and hold its own on racetracks when it mattered. Its automatic transmission shifted smoothly, helping the driver keep control while still feeling the car respond. Now, even with its weight, almost 4,000 pounds, the Thunderbird could still move confidently. It reached 60 miles per hour in about 14.7 seconds and completed a quarter mile in roughly 20.1 seconds. On the highway, the 2.50 to 1 rear gear allowed the engine to breathe easy while keeping a comfortable speed, making long drives effortless, but still giving that satisfying V8 thrum. Inside, the Thunderbird delivered luxury with a wink. Bucket or bench seats were available, covered in velour or leather, with plush carpets and wood grain trim. Comfort options like power windows, tilt steering, air conditioning, and speed control made it a joy to drive. Even the AM/FM stereo with 8-track kept the vibe going, and the controls were easy to reach for a smooth ride. The interior felt spacious and quiet, letting the car's subtle power speak for itself. The suspension balanced soft cruising with capable handling, and the braking system was strong enough to stop this mid-sized cruiser without drama. Steering was light and precise, making the Thunderbird easy to drive through corners while still feeling the road just enough to enjoy every turn. Number 5. Oldsmobile Cutlass, 442, 1978. The 1978 Oldsmobile 442 hits the asphalt with the kind of confidence that makes you want to hold on tight and grin. After seeing the big Thunderbirds and Chevelles, this car proves that Detroit's mid-size muscle still has a heartbeat made for speed. Its stance feels firm, and the tires, 205 by 70 in size, tap the road like a drumline, telling you that something exciting is under the hood. Let's talk about the ride. This 442 comes with upgraded shocks, springs that are 21% stiffer, and bigger anti-sway bars, front and rear. That means it corners with authority, hugs the road when you turn, and even gives a little tingle in your seat when you hit the bumps just right. It's not a smooth living room ride, but it's the kind of feeling that whispers, "This car wants to run." Peeking under the hood, the magic begins with a 305 cubic inch small block V8, known as the LG4. But here's where it gets spicy. It has an 800 cubic feet per minute 4-barrel carburetor instead of a smaller 2-barrel. This carburetor lets the engine gulp air like a champ, giving real power when you mash the gas pedal. That means the 442 can blow past many cars in its class on the drag strip, even beating a Monte Carlo or Pontiac Grand Am with bigger engines. When you floor it, the rear end ratio of 2.56 pulls the car through a quarter mile in about 17.4 seconds, hitting 83 miles per hour at the finish. Hitting 60 miles per hour takes only 8.9 seconds, and the car can top out at about 106 miles per hour. That's not just numbers. It's a promise of excitement on every straightaway and thrill in every corner. Inside, the 442 is as fun as it is fast. Comfortable seats, a solid steering feel, and controls that make you feel like a pro racer. Let the driver connect with the car. The suspension keeps it planted but not stiff, and braking feels strong without drama. Every press of the gas pedal gives feedback. Every turn of the wheel feels precise. And the whole package makes it clear this isn't just a cruiser. It's a street fighting machine that loves to go fast and put a smile on your face. Number 4. Buick Regal, 1981. The 1981 Buick Regal rolls onto the track with quiet confidence, following in the tire marks of the roaring 442. This car may look calm, but under that long hood sits the heart of a racer, ready to surprise anyone who underestimates it. Its white paint and matching Landau top shine like it knows it belongs in the spotlight, while the gold pinstripes whisper, "I'm fast, and I know it." The moment you grip the wheel, you feel how well this Regal hugs the road. Its suspension is tuned for comfort, yes, but also keeps the car steady when you push it hard. The 195 by 75 tires roll smoothly, keeping the coupe planted even as the engine breathes fire through the 3-speed automatic transmission. Every turn feels controlled. Every press of the gas pedal makes your stomach do a little flip, and you realize this is a car built for both city streets and open highways. Under the hood, story gets even better. The 232 cubic inch V6 engine churns out 110 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque. It may not sound like a monster, but paired with the rear-wheel drive layout, it propels the Regal from 0 to 60 miles per hour in roughly 9 to 11 seconds. The quarter mile flies by in about 17 to 19 seconds, hitting speeds between 105 and 110 miles per hour. That's plenty of speed for a mid-sized personal luxury coupe, and the turbocharged versions would later push this even further into NASCAR legend territory. Moving from numbers to feel, the interior wraps you in tan cloth and wood grain trim that makes driving a pleasure. Air conditioning keeps things cool, while a Delco AM/FM stereo sets the soundtrack for your mini race. The split-folding front bench and rear seat bench provide comfort for passengers, while the steering wheel and chrome-accented gauges let the driver feel fully in command. Even at highway speeds, the cabin stays quiet, letting you enjoy the sensation of the car moving fast without needing a seatbelt full of surprises. As the Regal glides and accelerates, you notice how much thought went into balance. This coupe proves that a well-engineered V6, smooth transmission, and smart suspension can make a mid-size Buick feel alive. Number 3. Pontiac Grand Prix, 1983. The 1983 Pontiac Grand Prix slides onto the asphalt like it knows it's about to steal the show from the Buick Regal. This coupe is not just a car, it's a mix of style, comfort, and just enough muscle to make your heart skip a beat. Once you touch the wheel, the Grand Prix feels ready for anything. The suspension glides over bumps like a magic carpet, while the tires keep the coupe steady when you push the gas pedal. It's easy to feel how the car balances comfort with performance, letting you enjoy every twist and turn. The two-door coupe frame hugs the road and keeps everything under control, proving that even mid-sized luxury cars can have some race-ready personality. Now, peek under the hood, and here's where things get exciting. This car can come with a 305 cubic inch V8 engine that puts plenty of power to the rear wheels. Even though it takes about 10 to 12 seconds to hit 60 miles per hour and 17 to 19 seconds for the quarter mile, it still feels lively and fun. Top speed hovers around 105 to 115 miles per hour, giving enough thrill for a street sprint or a gentle track day. And when it's cruising, the cabin is quiet enough to make you forget how much power you're holding in your right foot. Inside, the Grand Prix keeps you comfy with plush seats and a cabin full of style. Tan cloth or optional leather seats wrap around the driver, while wood grain trim and chrome accents add a touch of elegance. Air conditioning keeps things cool, the stereo keeps things loud, and the well-placed gauges let you know just how much this car can do. Every press of the gas pedal sends a little growl through the engine, reminding you that it's not just a pretty face. Rolling along the road, the Grand Prix shows off its balance of control and speed. It doesn't need a flashy nickname to prove itself. This G-body coupe has the confidence to carve corners, cruise highways, and still feel like a car that belongs in NASCAR's backyard. Number 2. Chevrolet Lumina, 1990. The Lumina is ready to take the spotlight after the Grand Prix's smooth cruise down the road. The 1990 Chevrolet Lumina was Chevrolet's move into the front-wheel drive mid-size world, giving families a roomy, smooth-riding car that could handle daily life and a little bit of fun when the traffic light turned green. Moving to the outside, the Lumina looks clean and modern for its time. Its body flows without the boxy bumps of older cars, giving it a calm, confident look. The sedan version was perfect for families, while the coupe offered a little extra style for those who liked a sporty touch. The colors were easy on the eyes too, from dark sapphire blue to bright white, and they made the car feel like it belonged on both city streets and long highways. Chrome trims and simple curves gave it a quiet style that never tried too hard. Inside, comfort was the real headline. The seats were soft, wide, and built for hours of driving without making your back hurt. The dashboard kept things simple but useful, and features like power windows and locks made life easier. The Lumina wasn't a fancy luxury ride, but it didn't need to be. It had everything a driver or family would want to make daily trips smooth and reliable. Under the hood, the Lumina had options that could surprise a few people. The standard 4-cylinder was fine for normal trips, but the 189 cubic inch V6 turned this family cruiser into a car that could move. With that engine, the Lumina could reach 60 miles per hour in just under 10 seconds. The suspension handled the road well, keeping the ride stable, and it had enough pep to feel like it mattered on the track, even if it wasn't a traditional muscle car. The Lumina Z34, the high-performance model, brought more fun to the mix. With the 210 horsepower V6, sports suspension, 4-wheel anti-lock brakes, and dual exhaust, this car could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 7 seconds and a quarter mile in 15.5 seconds. Add the rear spoiler, side skirts, and louvered hood, and suddenly it looked as fast as it drove. Top speed hovered around 113 miles per hour, making it a serious contender for anyone who liked to push the pedal a bit further. With its steady ride, roomy interior, and hidden speed potential, the 1990 Lumina showed that a family car could also be a bit of a racetrack hero. Number 1. Ford Thunderbird LX, 1995. The Thunderbird takes the final spot on the list, showing us how mid-sized cars can move with style. The 1995 Ford Thunderbird LX was a cruiser that made every highway feel like a racetrack. Looking at it from the outside, the Thunderbird has a calm but confident presence. The smooth curves and long body made it feel ready for both city streets and endless highways. Painted in bright electric red, it drew attention without trying too hard. The coupe body style gave it a sporty personality, while the LX trim added all the amenities needed for a comfortable ride. This was a car that looked happy to go fast, even when it wasn't trying. Opening the door, the interior was made for comfort. Power windows, locks, mirrors, and cruise control made life easy. The semi-automatic digital climate control kept the cabin just right, and the cassette deck provided the perfect soundtrack for long drives. Every detail, from the full instrumentation to the tachometer, showed that this was a car built for drivers who wanted control and comfort together. Under the hood, things got interesting. The Ford Essex 232 cubic inch V6 produced 140 horsepower and 212 pound-feet of torque. That might not sound like a lot, but it moved the 3,500-pound Thunderbird to 35 miles per hour quickly and kept it smooth on the highway. The suspension used independent rear control arms with coil springs, giving the car handling that felt more like a sports sedan than a luxury cruiser. For those who liked a little more speed, the Thunderbird could surprise. 0 to 60 miles per hour came in about 6.7 seconds, and a quarter mile could be done in 15.3 seconds. The V8 models pushed the performance further, while still keeping the ride soft and manageable. It could cruise all day, making it perfect for long drives without tiring out the driver or passengers. Even after years on the road, this Thunderbird remained reliable and fun to drive. From twisting country roads to open highways, it proved that a personal luxury coupe could still have a touch of NASCAR energy. Every mile felt purposeful, every turn confident, and every highway stretch was a little invitation to push the limits, all while keeping a smile on the driver's face. Which of these cars would you take for a lap at full speed? Drop a comment, hit like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more racing thrills.